So here we are inside the Packard Victoria, and I'm here with Steve Snyder.
Hi.
Hi. And I think what's really interesting was the course of events that brought the car into Bill Snyder's car collection, starting all the way back when Tom Lyle decided to sell the car in about 1952, and his what would I call him? He was the photographer who did all the Maybelline ads. If you read my book, The Maybelline Story, you will know all about him. Arnold Anderson. It looks to us, from what we've learned today with Steve, is that Tom Lyle might have given the car to his so-called secretary, Arnold Anderson, and we have ads showing in 1952.
52 Motor Trend.
Well, go ahead and tell us kind of...
So in 1952, an ad appeared, and it was a big size photo ad with the car, and it's obviously the car. You can't miss it. There's, you know, clearly it's this car. And it's the car's advertised for sale by Arnold Anderson and Los Angeles, California, for $2,900, and gives the phone number, and so you know that's really all we know at that. But it's a really nice set piece to show that there's a point in the car's history. And then later, about 1955, the car appeared twice. It appeared in Motor Trend for sale, and I'm not sure, I haven't seen that ad. I've referenced the ad. And it also appeared in a book by Borgeson and Jaderquist with a color photo, which showed it in its original cream colored paint.
In about 1955?
55, the book was published. And so there was another data point with the car. And then in 58, we know that it went to a guy back east in Illinois who picked it up, had it serviced in Santa Ana, because we still have the receipt, and then he drove it back to Illinois, kept it for a short time, and I think his name was Paul Grayling. And so Paul Grayling had it for a short time, and then he sold it to this guy named John Poole. And the way we know about John Poole is that we published an article about this car after it was restored, and John Poole's friend wrote a big nice letter talking about the car from about 1959 through 1966. And John Poole had this car, he really liked it, but his wife was annoyed at how much he spent on the car.
How much?
$1,500 was the total investment, and so that annoyed the wife, so the car had to go. So then it showed up in Hemmings in 1966, and then it went to a guy named Paul Gutting in Missouri, and then in 71 Paul Gutting advertised it for sale in Old Cars Weekly, and that's where my dad spotted it and flew out, bought the car, and drove it home.
Oh my gosh, so that was
71.
1970. Oh, your dad bought it in 1971,
71.
not 72.
Yeah, 71.
And what do you think about the car being one of a kind? I mean, there's been some controversy that there's two of these cars.
Well,
but
it's not exactly a controversy, but
with me it's a controversy.
Bowman and Schwartz made 3 convertible Victorias that we know of that have similar design elements. Okay, I think that's the best way to put it, similar design elements. This car was the only car made on the long 148-inch wheelbase, and so it's just, of those 3 cars, of course we're partial, but we think it's the best. It's got the longest hood, the proportions are spectacular, and so it's the only one they made like it.
And the other one is about 10 inches shorter.
The other one's on the 138 chassis.
138.
And it has a different fender line, and that's a beautiful car too. I mean, I don't, you know,
the sister.
It's a great. The sister car is a great car, but it's slightly different than this one. I mean, you can immediately recognize the differences in the 2 cars. And then, of course, the Cadillac that was done in a similar style has very much different design cues.
Well, one thing I like about this car is that it's solid and it's complete, and obviously it ran well when you got it, but it needed to be restored. So tell us a little bit about the restoration.
Well, we had a guy in Michigan named Bud Hicks, who was a pretty well-known restorer back there, And we gave it to him, I'm thinking, 91 or 92 thereabouts. And he had it done in time for show season of 94. So the car did real well at the shows. It took a Packard award at they call it the Packard Experience at Gilmore Museum. It won its class at Meadowbrook, and we displayed it at Pebble Beach that year. And then later in 2000, it got a Classic Car Club America first place trophy. So that's the little oval badge that the Classic Car Club people are familiar with.
Right, and wasn't it featured in Cars and Parts magazine?
Yeah, my dad wrote an article for Cars and Parts magazine, I think in 97 or 8.
Yeah, the late 90s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it won the CCA first place badge, like you said, in 2000. And what's the Peterson Auto Museum, Los Angeles?
Well, Peterson Auto Museum is a very well-known car museum, and they invited us to show the car there. So it stayed there for a couple of months. They have rotating exhibits of cars, so the car went there for a couple of months. And, so that way everybody could see it, you know, it was open to the public.
And another thing I thought was really interesting is Tom Lyle was about 6'2", and obviously he had the car custom made for his height.
You have to be tall to drive this car. The length of the cowl, that's essentially they put all that length in the hood, so the pedals are forward. Even with pedal extenders, you just need, you know, if anything below about 5'8", I don't think you can drive this car.
So basically what you're saying is most everything on this car probably was custom built, except for...
Oh, this is a complete individual
the
custom
grill
car.
is standard, the bumpers...
But all, it's like this windshield, this is all
Oh,
custom.
tell us about the V windshield.
Well, the V windshield, this is a custom casting, so you get the nice V angle, and there's, you know, good rounded contours here. It's really a beautiful piece, and you know, of course, the windshield is a focal point of the design, so they did a great job on that.
And the fenders, specially designed and used by Lincoln.
Well, the headlight bezels are Lincoln Zephyr headlight bezels. So we get a lot of questions about the show. You know, we get a wise guy comes up and says, "Yeah, you got Lincoln parts in this car." I'm like, yeah, here's the factory photo. That's what they put on it. You know?
Exactly.
So we have those conversations once in a while.
And do you think that he had the doors made extra wide, or was that just part of the car?
I think that's just part of the design of the car. For a 4-seat convertible, you have to have a wide door so you can get in the back.
It was very difficult getting in the back, and
Yeah,
I was thinking about the ladies in 1940s, you know, elegantly getting in that back seat. It wasn't that easy. I'm telling you, and I had pants on, right? And the bucket seats, though, I mean, oh my God, this car, the intimacy and the charm of sitting in this car, you'd have to sit in it yourself to appreciate it. But tell us about the signature piece, the custom horse head that graces the hood of this car.
We have never seen another hood ornament like it. I mean, and that's part of the way we've been able to identify this car in photos over the years, is there's no other Packard known with that hood ornament. So it makes it very easy to tell, oh, there's the hood ornament, so
Yes.
it must be the car.
And not only that, back in the day when Tom Lyle was cruising down Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, people would see that horse head coming and they would know. But I don't know if they always knew it was him, because I noticed that when the driver is driving, you can't see below the eyes. I mean, this car, the way that the top goes, like, probably with me that you could, but with Tom Lyle being tall, you never could see his face.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, that he wanted that kind of privacy. And one thing you can say about this car, it's an eye-popping statement of beauty and luxury, and it was in 1940, and it remains today the most beautiful car, I think, ever made. But then again, I'm partial, and so are you, right?
We're all partial.
So anyway, thank you so much, Steve.
It was my pleasure. It was really fun to meet all of you and to learn about this part of the car's history, which we did not know. I mean, it's very interesting to get back to the original owner. That's a big deal for a car person.
And especially, you know, it isn't, it's such a glamorous owner.
Right. Oh,
you know, beauty, Hollywood, movie stars.
Right.
I mean, this wasn't just well, I don't want to say the Uniroyal Tire family, but you thought that the family was the Williams.
You know, when we got the car, when my dad did some initial research, one of his interviews with someone on the car, they thought that it had been owned by the owner of the Williams Shaving Cream and Soap Company. And, you know, okay, there was no documentation. We didn't have the picture of, as well as the family history that came with it of you folks. So we're like, okay, fine, you know, we didn't know. And so when I got that photo from Wes Peterson and started looking this up and learning about the Maybelline story, I thought, oh, come on, now this is different than what we heard. But I pretty quickly realized, okay, you guys had the real story, and that shaving cream deal was not accurate at the time, and it just shows how stuff can go along. Inaccuracy just kind of builds on itself over the years, and you have to fix it.
You have to fix it, exactly. And for all of you out there that are seeing this, if you want to, you know, get the whole story, you'll have to get the book, The Maybelline Story, and the spirited family dynasty behind it. And thank you, everybody, for following the blog, 102 countries. And, of course, foreign rights have been picked up by Spain now. So the Maybelline Story is going around the world. And I'm just so thrilled that we found the Snyders and get to sit in the same car that our dad sat in when he was a teenager. Talk to you soon.